Hello and welcome to Talking Europe. Millions of people staging a nationwide strike against a proposal to ban abortion almost completely. That's something that many women didn't think they would have to do in a European nation in 2016. But it took mass protests for the Polish government to back down and withdraw the abortion bill earlier this month. Well, the dramatic events reminded Europeans that this issue has not gone away. In Ireland, there's currently a move to expand the circumstances in which an abortion is allowed. But meanwhile, last year in Spain, things moved in the opposite direction, with the Senate tightening restrictions on minors wishing to terminate a pregnancy. Well, to discuss these trends, I'm joined by a panel of MEPs. I'd like to welcome, first of all, Maria Arena, a Belgian MEP from the group of Socialists and Democrats. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Also on the same side of the table, Jean Lambert. Hello, you're an MEP from the group of Greens, a British MEP. On the other side of the table, and the opposite side of the debate, I should say, we have Zdzisław Krasnodębski, a Polish MEP. Welcome to you, a Conservative member of the EPP group. And last but not least, Alfred Sant. Hello.
Hello.
Alfred is a Maltese MP from the group of Socialists and Democrats. And actually, Alfred, I'd like to start with you because our viewers might not realize that Malta is the only country in Europe that has a total ban on abortion. And what's interesting is that both parties in Malta support this ban, don't they?
It's something for which there is no constituency at all. Not just the parties in parliament, the Greens as well, and all women's organizations. They all come out against abortion. We've had quite a liberal program of liberalization over the last years, up to gay marriage and things like that, contraception. But abortion, that's the total red line for practically the whole population.
Maria Arena or Jean, when you look at Malta, what do you make of this? I mean, as Alfred was saying, that same-sex unions have been allowed. That usually goes in hand with liberalization on abortion. What do you make of this Maltese situation?
But I think we have to work on more rights for women, not only in the other countries, just like Poland, but I think that we have to work with women association in Malta. If they don't want, we can't force them. But if we have the situation we have in Poland, having thousands of people being in the streets saying that they need more rights, we have to support them. So it's a quite different situation in Malta or in Poland or in other countries. I was in Ireland too. And we have to work with them when they ask us as MEPs to support them in their rights.
What do you make of that?
I just want to say that every society and every nation have to decide in this matter. And as you say, in Malta, for instance, societies support this. In Poland, we probably have a majority pro-life, but it is your sovereign decision. It is decision of Malta, and it is our decision in Poland.
The Polish government had been sued by the European Court of Human Rights 3 times on abortion cases. And I think that as a European MEP, we have to ask the Polish government to be in this line of the European Convention. When you enter the European Union, you sign, you ratify this convention, and you have to respect it. You have been sued
in
by
this convention, nothing about abortion.
Yeah,
in
you have
no
3
human
cases, 3 cases being condemned.
But the 3 cases you mentioned were in a previous government. Previous government, not current government.
It's not a question of previous or not, it's a question of rights.
Let him finish,
Just me say, not in previous government, which was central right, probably, or liberal, civic platform. And probably the other cases was during the government of the Social Democrats. It shows that in Poland, like in Malta, we have a very broad consensus condemning
Yeah, but
abortion.
you have the European Convention that condemns you. What are you doing for that?
No,
you are not respecting European Convention as Poland.
Show me in the European Convention the place in which there is
You have been condemned.
Because of the different thing,
no.
because it's the questions of the law.
Because it's not respecting dignity of women. Just
what is the dignity of women is abortion?
Because young women of 14 years old being raped and not having right to abortion.
This is
It's
not-
a question of disproportionate rights
this is
in
not
your
according
country.
to the
This
Polish
was-
law,
Yeah.
as you know, and they were sued. They were sued in relation to the current existing Polish law.
Yeah,
in
but
the
you-
in the past. Yeah.
Let's
This
you-
has nothing with the European Convention. This has nothing to do
It's
with
what
the
you said.
human rights, because
It's what you
there's
said.
no in human rights,
And
no in
why have you
any
been
catalogue
condemned?
of human rights.
Why-
There is no right to kill them.
Why
the
have
other
you been
people.
condemned?
Well, let's take a closer look at those dramatic events on October the 6th, when the Polish parliament went back on that proposed ban on abortion. Let's take a look at this report by France 24.
Backing away from a near-total ban on abortion, the Polish government rejected a controversial bill that sparked massive protests earlier this month. The proposal recommended up to 5 years in prison for women seeking abortions and the prosecution of doctors who perform them. It came from a citizens' initiative and wasn't sponsored by Poland's ruling party, despite its conservative agenda.
We stressed several times that we do not agree with punishing women, and that's why our deputies voted to reject the draft law.
Parliament voted overwhelmingly to reject the bill by 352 votes to 58. The ruling party was rattled after 100,000 women protested across Poland against plans to tighten the country's already restrictive abortion rules. The current law allows terminations only if the pregnancy resulted from rape or incest, if the fetus is irreversibly damaged, or if the mother's life is in danger. The proposed law would have allowed abortion only when there was a direct danger to the mother's life. While they initially backed it, even bishops in the Catholic Church said the proposal went too far, with critics voicing concerns it would punish the victims of sexual abuse. The abortion rate in Poland is currently one of the lowest in Europe. The number of legal terminations fluctuates between 600 and 1,000 each year. However, feminist groups say the numbers are likely closer to between 100 to 150,000 annually. These figures include illegal abortions and those who travel abroad for the operation. The nation's existing rules are tough compared to those of Poland's European neighbours. Only a handful of countries have a stricter abortion policy.
Jean Lambert, I'd like to ask for what do you think of these events in Poland? Does that tell you anything about broader trends in Europe or the countries that you know?
Well, I think that the most recent sort of proposals in Poland were really worrying. But I think it's something that you're beginning to see in a number of EU countries now, that even in the UK, we've got much more of a grassroots movement which has really picking up on the style from the United States of confronting women at pregnancy advisory services, whether they're going for abortions or not. We're seeing, I think, a pushback, and I find this very worrying because it never really seems to come with anything about widening a social agenda. It never seems to come with anything about decent sex education in schools, and it always seems to me to be very much focused on women and never anything about the men and their engagement in this whole process. And that even when we're looking at the case that was mentioned, for example, where you have a child, somebody who's a minor, and therefore this is criminal assault, whoever the partner is, that when you see that happening, that it always seems to me that the attention is solely focused on the young woman, and people are never actually talking about, you know, where are the men within all of this? So I think this is very much a gendered sort of attack almost, is how it's felt, I think, by a lot of women. That, you know, it's trying to put women's rights back rather than actually looking at a wider sort of set of social circumstances.
Do you want to comment on
say,
that?
for me, I will agree with you, as a man's role is very important in this process. And for me, it's a not confrontation between women and men. This is a big, severe moral issue. Of course, there are also conflict of values, protection of life, and value, free choice of the womb. I wouldn't deny this, but I just wanted to remind you that in Poland we had a very liberal law. We have a total different history than you probably. Between 43 and 45, abortion in occupied Poland was totally free, totally allowed. Yeah. Then during the communists, after 56, there was no problem to have an abortion in Poland on the social ground. It's just, just the declaration of the woman that she's living in the bad social condition was necessary. So, especially my generation, the people who fought against communists, they lived under atheist government regime, dictatorship, in which this problem was defined as no problem, no moral problem at all.
I just want to say that to have an abortion law is not to promote abortion, it's just to give the right to women to have the possibility to have a legal abortion. When you say that abortion is no more active in Poland, it is not right. You have a lot of women having abortion outside Poland or illegal abortion. So when you see the more you are restrictive, the more women are going to abortion because they can't have sexual education. So it is better to have abortion law more open and sexual education,
topic,
sexual and right education. So I think it's two things that you have to give to women. It is not being against life. It is just to have a life that you choose. And this is really important to give love.
And
it is really important.
It's important to point out that illegal abortions are lower in countries where there's more education about the topic. So clearly the two things
education
do go
is a different topic, and the questions of abortion
is related.
You can have a sexual education, and you can have at the same time restrictive abortion.
But for the moment, the problem they don't
have. But you agree with me, and I think you both, that it is evil. Abortion is not good.
No, I don't consider it evil.
No,
I think
not evil, not at all.
Absolutely value-laden term.
Yeah.
And I think that,
why don't you think that such a cruel procedure is not evil?
It is,
even for the Greens who are so concerned about life
don't give me this.
Environment.
I think that what is, you can equally well argue that what is equally cruel or more cruel is actually to force somebody to carry a child to full term when that child is, for example, the product of rape, the product of incest or whatever, and you are saying to somebody that this is something that society will make you do.
To the current actual Polish law, in these cases, it is allowed. It is allowed, even if our probably moral position could be different in this.
But
case.
not in all countries.
In these three countries,
allowed.
it's allowed.
But
I think if we are totally liberal in this case, in this, we never raise the conscience that it is actually very bad. It is cruel. It is against the life. It is against morality. It is against dignity of women.
This is a moral
Why is
point
it
of
that
view.
you cannot make that argument still within a context that says we are not forcing you to not have abortions, but we actually offer a choice. And if people feel as you feel, they will not take the abortion path. If people feel as I feel, then it is an option for them.
Because
so why is
also
it that you
in the other cases,
that
when they say human life, we regulate this. We don't think, if you would like to kill somebody you don't like.
When you are killing,
it is your moral choice.
You are killing girls. You are killing girls. So it's not
I want to get back to this
There are no examples of killing the girls
than other countries. Would you favour expanding the law so that it would allow abortion in more circumstances? Because at the moment it's even more narrow than the Polish
It doesn't
definition.
exist at all.
Right.
The problem is this, I think. First of all, you have to ask yourself whether there's enough sex education.
Yeah.
And whether contraception is available broadly across the spectrum. That should be the start for all kinds of discussions, because you would agree that abortion is not a desirable technique.
No, I mean, it's not a method of contraception.
No. Exactly. But if contraception is available totally, then there would be no scope for abortions. probably.
I think you have to give the choice.
But even if
unless you're looking at failure.
No, but then let's
It's not
look
to
at-
promote it.
It's a question of
You have to
values.
give the
It's a
choice.
question of values as well. And you have to convince guys, you have to convince people that what you're saying is valuable in a social sense, in a moral sense as well. And many people in my country do not accept that as being a morally acceptable discourse.
But
I
it's
disagree
also-
with them, to be fair. I think that you have to be much more nuanced.
But today,
But then people really believe these. And not just guys, women,
Yeah, women.
and young women as well.
But of course, it pushes a lot of Maltese women to go abroad
Yeah.
Well,
for illegal operations, and that's still a bit of a
that's where
taboo
a chink
in your
in the door
country,
of
isn't it?
hypocrisy, actually, because then, of course, women do get pregnant and they do want to end their pregnancy, and if they have the money or the means, they go to Sicily or to
And
London.
so again, you've got the gap between the people who can afford it and those who can't.
Yeah, it's
And more than
shouldn't
that,
that be
more than
addressed,
that,
at
if
least?
it's done in-house in Malta, it's probably much more dangerous.
Of course.
Like what happened in Italy in the past. There used to be lots of abortion in Italy before the abortion law came in, and lots and lots of women's deaths. So I see the point. But then
So you have
we
to
live
reckon
in
this.
democracies as well. And values against values in democracies, the majorities win. And if it's such a big majority as it is in Malta, then you have to sort of take that into account as well.
Okay, I think we'll have to end it there. Thank you so much. We've run out of time, but please don't go away, because in part 2 of Talking Europe, we'll bring you a one-to-one interview with a leading member of Polish civil society. We'll be continuing the discussion about abortion, but we'll also be talking about other important issues in Poland today.